Hey guys, this is Lalana. Thanks for tuning into the Sovereign Path. So today I'm doing another impromptu video, again based on the video that I just released the other day. I think the title of that one is "The Questions Are Coming from Your Fear-Based Energy." So I want to kind of elaborate on that a little more in this video, specifically in regard to the triggers that come up for us and how important it is that we allow those triggers to come through, right? The triggers coming up from the Divine Masculine specifically, these, as I keep saying, like, these are the gold mines, right? This path is a gift. And when we're being triggered by the Divine Masculine, you know, of course we have a tendency to want to push that away. You know, we don't want to feel that. It's very uncomfortable. Obviously nobody really wants to get triggered. You know, we get annoyed by that. The ego gets annoyed by that. The emotional pain body, you know, sort of rises up to, you know, feel whatever it's feeling. The ego doesn't like that. So, you know, we defend against those things, and generally, you know, we react, you know, we push back, we talk back, whatever it is. But the thing is that those triggers, every time they come in, and the reason that I call them the gold mines is because the Divine Masculine is specifically doing this for a reason, right? This isn't just like being an ass, being a jerk, you know, being avoidant, being a narcissist, whatever, all those things that I keep talking about. These are coming up because they are something that is within you that is being reflected back to you, that, you know, you're holding, like some sort of belief, some sort of wounding, some sort of karmic patterning or programming that is still running within you, that is needing to be seen, transmuted, released, let go, and all of those sort of things. So as much as we like to basically avoid the triggers, and we feel like, okay, I'm doing well, I haven't gotten triggered in a while, and all of those sort of things, so I must be doing good, and then the trigger comes back and we feel like, what the hell, I thought I was doing really well, why is this trigger me again? So the thing is, and this is what I really want to hit in this video, is that awakening and ascension, this twin flame path that you have found yourself on, which is an awakening path and an ascension path, it moves in a spiral, right? Awakening goes in spirals, right? You come up from the lower vibratory state, right? The third dimensional reality being a lower density. It is a lower vibratory state. It just is. It's not good, bad, right, wrong. It simply is this experience in separation consciousness that we are having as souls. But as you rise in consciousness, as you go through your awakening and go through your ascension, your vibration naturally rises. This is a byproduct of going through the ascension process and going through the awakening. And so as the spiral goes up, so as your vibration rises, right, as your frequency comes up, you're going to encounter triggers or encounter, you know, situations, programmings, patternings that you have been running, however many incarnations you've been running them. You're going to go through that, feel on some level that you have cleared this, you know, you've dealt with this, you've moved on from this, whatever else. But that is going to come back around. It's going to come back around. And so this is a really important thing that we understand. And this is how the spiral works, right? This is how the soul works. This is how your higher self works, who is you, just operating in a higher vibration. That is going to be triggering you to ask, okay, we dealt with this trauma, or we cleared this thing. So let's just make sure that it's completely clear. So we're going to bring that back around again, right? This is soul talking, your higher consciousness talking, higher self talking. Let's bring that trigger in again and make sure that you have actually cleared it. Let's see if there are any remnants left, right? I call it like the dredge, right? The dredges, like the bottom of the dredges, the stuff that stays stuck to the bottom of the pan, you know, or like is like really hard to clean off the top of the stove, and you're like, you know, I cleaned this so many times, I know it's clean, so why do I still see those little bits of stuff that I can't get off? I call that the dredges, right? So the spiral is going to come through, and it's going to do this however many times that it needs to do this, right? Your soul is going to trigger you however many times that you need to be triggered to make sure that you have gotten all of it, right? All of the dredges are gone. So this is why you will feel like you've been triggered by the masculine in various different ways, right? And you'll feel like that same trigger keeps coming up. And a lot of times you'll feel like, I have already dealt with this. Why does this keep showing up, right? Whether it's an abandonment situation, rejection, self-worth, self-love, whatever it might be, right? So a plethora of things that can come up. But there will be certain ones that are very specific to you that you will continue to notice. And that at some point on the path, you'll begin to be like, I have already dealt with this. I have already cleared this. Why is it coming around again? It's coming around again because there are still some bits and dredges of it that you still need to basically excavate, right? The last bits of it you need to excavate and finally be clear of, transmuted, and it's gone. So when these things come around, I just want you guys to be aware of it. And so when the masculine triggers you yet again on a same issue that you've already been working on, and you get frustrated and you feel like, okay, I've done this, what the hell? Why does this keep coming up? That's why it keeps coming up. And so instead of being in that immediate reactionary place that most of us go to, where, you know, we just get annoyed and frustrated because, you know, we feel like we're doing the work, we're going within, we're clearing the stuff, we're seeing it all, we're processing it, you know, we're doing what we need to do. So why do I keep seeing this? So don't look at it as a situation of being pissed that you saw this again. Look at it as a situation of going, okay, this is coming up for me again because there are still some remnants of it that are asking to be seen, that are asking to be cleared, let go of, released, loved, whatever it might be, okay? Everybody's situation is different. But this is why I keep coming back to the triggers being so, so, so important. The triggers are your pathway, right? The obstacles are not for you to like avoid and try to go around. The obstacles are the path, right? That's a very famous quote. The obstacles are the path, right? It's not about avoiding the obstacles and sort of ducking and weaving, you know, and acting like, you know, or it's all good and all of those sort of things, and bypassing everything. It's about seeing things for what they are, taking responsibility for how they are showing up in our world, owning them, and then dealing with what's coming up and releasing it. So this is a gift when you get triggered. It's very important that we really see them this way. This is just energy, right? It's another way of seeing this. You know, this is just energy that is playing out or that's being trapped somewhere in your chakra system that is asking to be released, right? The soul wants you to release this stuff. This isn't who you are as consciousness. You don't have all these heavy, laden, dense energies as an energetic light being. You don't. You have taken these things on through this experience, right? And this is why the awakening is pushing these heavy, laden, dense energies up through the Kundalini rising so that you can see them and so that you can release them. And this is why the spiral comes back around. It's so the higher self, the soul, the consciousness that you are is making sure that you're no longer running that program. And the only way to make sure that you're no longer running that program is to trigger you again, to see, is it still here? Is it not here? Let's find out, right? So in regard to that, or in alignment with that, I should say, you know, the feminine a lot of times has, you know, and I've told you guys, you know, and I'm going to keep saying this, like, yeah, I get it. Like, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, right? It took me a long time to, like, get it. It did. Because I was very stubborn. I'm an Aries and a fighter by nature, you know, the warrior sign, and I didn't want to surrender to a damn thing. And my ego was very strong and it didn't want to break. And it took my masculine, who is a Taurus, who has an even more stubborn streak than me, for me to really like own and see the reflection that I just wasn't able or willing to see in other areas or aspects of my life, right? And I had a tendency in the beginning stages and in the midway stages of my journey to, even though I was aware of how this path worked, I would still get really triggered by my masculine, because I just didn't want to yield, basically. You know, I didn't want to yield. And we have a tendency to, the ego, it's not us, the ego has a tendency to either want to play that fighter side and have that really strong masculine energy, or to play the victim side and to have that, you know, that wounded feminine energy, and to not really want to come in the middle and sort of see things for what they are. And so we kind of tend to, the divine feminine a lot of times can tend to villainize the masculine in a lot of ways, and blame the masculine, and feel like, as I've said in a lot of other videos, you know, the masculine is being this, the masculine is doing that, that if they would stop doing this, and if they would stop doing that. I think most of us in the beginning stages, for sure, we fall into that sort of program, right? It's just another program, right? It's just another belief. And it's coming from all that stuff that we've been running for so long. And so just having that awareness that, you know, the masculine is helping you. The masculine is helping you. The masculine is helping you to set you free. Now, as I'm going to say over and over again, I'm not talking about abuse, right? I'm not talking about true narcissistic disorder. You know, I'm not talking about true toxicity. I'm not talking about those things. Those are not part of a twin flame path. Your twin flame wants the best for you, right? They want you to break loose of all the things that keep you caged and keep you suffering and keep you in a lower vibratory state. So we really need to look at this, and I'm going to do another video on this. As I've said before, one of the best ways to look at this, if you're a visual person, if you're not, you can like kind of, you know, figure out which are the best ways for you. But we need to look at it as not as the physical masculine is coming in to like trigger me again and get under my skin again, and I'm getting annoyed again, and they're playing all these games again, or they're doing this again. We need to really look at it from a much higher octave than that, right? A much higher vibratory state than that, because that's not actually what's going on. That's coming from the 3D paradigm of you're an ass and you need to get your shit together, right? That's coming from separation consciousness. The twin flame is not about separation consciousness. It's about breaking you out of separation consciousness. So what actually is happening is that your spiritual masculine, right? Your divine masculine, your higher masculine, whatever way you want to say that, which is the aspect of you, your own masculine within you, right? That aspect of your higher masculine, right, is coming through your physical representation of the masculine in order to trigger you. So we need to really see this as, okay, this is my higher masculine. This is my spiritual masculine. This is my true divine masculine coming through the 3D representation, physical aspect of the masculine who is triggering me, right? Because it's the soul that's triggering you. It's your own consciousness that's triggering you. It's your own higher self that's triggering you. And that is your masculine, because you are one in the same consciousness, right? You are one energy. So we have a tendency to separate those things and to look at it as it's just this other guy or this other girl that's freaking triggering me all the time and pissing me off and getting under my skin, and I've already done the work, and stop, you know, throwing it in my face, and why do you keep saying this, and why do you, I'm doing my thing, you know, how the ego takes over and does all those things. Again, before we react in that way, we really need to take a step back And we really need to look at this from the higher octaves of what's actually going on here, right? This is my same soul triggering me. And the only way that my same soul can trigger me in the most effective way is to do it through the physical aspect of my twin, right? This is how it's effective. Yes, you can get triggered energetically through the twin as well. Absolutely. Not saying that you can't. Okay. But when you have that physical aspect of the twin standing in front of you, it's very effective. That trigger is very effective, and you can't really ignore it. You can't really bypass it, right? You're looking at it. You're staring at it. And that's the reason that this dynamic plays out the way it does. That's the reason that you have incarnated twice, right? You've incarnated your same soul in physical aspect so that you can see your same soul reflected back to you physically to trigger you to come out of the dream and out of the illusion, right? So the triggers are those gifts. They are those gold mines. They're not something that we need to avoid. They're something that actually we need to embrace. And so that's why we need to take that higher stance of, okay, instead of immediately reacting to you and pushing back and defending myself, I need to actually take a step and take a breath and see what's coming up. Why is this keep coming up for me? What's actually going on? And how am I separating myself from myself? How am I blocking myself from my higher octaves of self, right? It's these triggers that are keeping me from self. It's these triggers that are keeping me from my inner union, which is also keeping me from that physical, peaceful interaction with the divine masculine. So the thing is that as much as the divine feminine doesn't like it most of the time, this is your leadership role. You are the creator, and it is falling back on you in that way to actually see this for what it is through your higher self, rather than seeing this through your woundings and through the ego and the false self, right? And as I keep saying, all these aspects are you, right? They're all aspects of you. So there is no actual separation. It's just hard to use words in this reality to explain things in a proper way so that we can actually get a grip on what's happening. But the higher self is you, right? I keep saying that. Divine timing is you. Your spirit guides are you. The higher self is you, right? So it's not someone out there, right? Even your divine masculine, right? The physical aspect of the divine masculine is still not someone out there, right? They are you. You have created this to assist you through your awakening path. So allow that to come up for you, right? Allow those things to come up for you. Allow yourself to see them for what they are and to process what's coming through. So that's what I have for you guys, and I hope you have an awesome day.